of you watching may have seen another video I did with this car not too long ago. It's now done over 100,000 views. First of all, thank you so much to so many of you who watched that video. It was incredible, the reaction to it. Whether it was offers of ramps to do some of the work myself on the car, just advice on, you know, don't spend all the money at once. It was just a lovely outpouring of support and help. Obviously there was plenty of, how did you not do your research comments? Listen, there's a thing with YouTube, you know, if you've got a story to tell, you're gonna tell the story, you're gonna hopefully get on the algorithm train and, you know, ride the wave, make some content along the way. And that was my intention with the video. So yes, of course I did plenty of research before investing quite a substantial amount of money in a car like this, but nonetheless just wanted to address those comments because there was lots of them. There's also lots of armchair people who, you know, just want to comment, maybe don't necessarily know about these cars, which is fine, but then you can spot the people who do know what they're talking about, and they left lots of valuable comments on the video also, so thank you again. A quick recap, if you didn't see that video, it was essentially a bill in total of €9,000 to do some wear and tear stuff on this car, but also to fix an oil leak on a thing called a tandem pump, which was making a mess of my driveway and very much annoying my missus, if nothing else, but also me as well. So I did a video with the dilemma of, do you spend the £9,000 and get it all sorted now? Do you put some of it off in a year or so's time, which a lot of people, including the Porsche specialist who was looking after the car for me, was suggesting to do. A little update on that actual repair. So it's done. I've literally collected the car this morning from the mechanics and the leak is sorted. But for now, that's all I've spent. So that was a grand total of just over €1,500, including labour. And I would put that down to one of those things that a lot of people said, oh, do the discs and pads yourself in the last video. But there are certain things that you just, you know, leave that to people who are professionals and know what they're doing and all that stuff. And along the way of the repair process, I was sent this photograph, which is a kind of a metal glue that fills holes. And this came up a lot in the last video, you know, specialists charge more. Well, yeah, because they're specialists, they're dealing in this particular mark of car all the time. I personally see value in that. Lots of people commented and said, you know, they're just normal cars, why can't the normal mechanic look after them? They probably could. I do also think when the day comes that you're going to sell these cars, where you've had it maintained does help, I think. I could be wrong with that, but that's just my perception of the whole thing. But that picture there kind of proves to you that there are people who are still out there who will cut corners, who will get this car quickly fixed to get it back on the road, and we'll worry about the consequences later. And as I mentioned, my driveway has been a consequence of that. Now, I'm glad to say, as you can see here, there's a proper tandem pump replaced on the car. So I'm just slightly distracted because over here, just turn the camera around, there are some deers. Don't know if you can see them. But they're not getting along with each other just right now. There's just bit of testosterone being let off. We gotta get into that season as well. Antlers are huge. The deer are also making lots of noises, so it's not my stomach in case you hear it and you're wondering what is that. So that part of the problem has now been solved. And again, I personally take comfort in knowing that, you know, the work now is done on the leak. It's not leaking anymore. It's been done right. There's a brand new part on it, and you know, it's just something I can stand over. So that's the first part of the last video's problem solved. So it's not a £9,000 bill anymore, at least. One other aspect of that video that I didn't really predict, and sometimes I forget, you know, this channel, thanks to you, was built into a reasonable sized channel, and particularly that video, which did, as I mentioned, over 100,000 views. People are going to see it. They're going to watch it. And a byproduct of that video, and genuinely hadn't even thought of this, was that a couple of people expressed an interest in buying the car. Yeah. Conscious that maybe a lot of you haven't even driven a 911 or sat into one, maybe the next part of this video would be best if I jump behind the wheel. First of all, that noise turning it over every time. Every time. Just gets you. You're like, ah. Flat six, no modifications, totally stock car. I have often thought, oh, could you do something else with the exhaust just to make it a little bit more, its presence felt maybe, because they're pretty quiet. In my opinion, just to get everything under your control in a car like this, it has to be manual, no compromise, no question. Just, it is manual. It goes without saying, it's incredibly difficult to drive a car like this and restrain yourself and not break the speed limit, because very, very quickly you're doing ridiculous speeds. And I found that with the MX-5 I had, that always felt like you were going fast, but you weren't. In the 911, you are going fast and you will lose your license or kill yourself or somebody else. Now, I never really with the 997 bought into the whole Widowmaker stuff, because unfortunately I was in a Cayman S crash many, many years ago. I wasn't driving, but I was finishing up at the end of the crash, hanging upside down by a seatbelt. So I know what they can do in the wrong hands. A lot of power, rear wheel drive, things can go wrong. But for me, I never really got that sense from this car. You know, good tires are obviously important. And just, again, just using your head. You know, if it's a cold morning, if the conditions are slippy, you know, don't do silly things. But I like as well that, you know, a car like this, and probably more so an automatic, is an easy car to live with in terms of it can do, you know, normal commutes. It can do slow driving, stop starting. You know, it doesn't have to be always, I want to drive like a lunatic. You know, you don't have to do that in these cars. Why do I need strangers on the internet to tell me what to do? Well, it adds to the content. It breaks up the electric car content on the channel, at the very least. Yeah, there was something very satisfying this morning collecting the car, knowing that some repair work has been done, that issue's gone. Probably spurred on by the amount of comments on the video. I was like, yeah, you could do discs and pads yourself, in fairness. And I was looking online, and like the Brembo set are €300, the Porsche genuine set are 1,000. I'd nearly guarantee you, if you go digging, the Porsche genuine discs are Brembos. But anyway, I watched enough YouTube videos as well, and kind of how to change your discs and pads on your 911. And the most complicated part probably looked like just making sure the caliper was supported by a bungee cord or something, so you're not hanging the weight on the wire. I kind of like the idea of, can this Muppet change discs and pads on a car? And they're escapism. I know it's a first world dilemma, but they're like computer games. You get in, you get behind the wheel for half an hour, and whatever is going on in your life, you can just forget about it. That noise, you'll never beat it. It's the steering, it's the way it handles into corners. They are an incredible car. Is there sense in driving a car like this so infrequently, because your job requires you to drive other things all the time? Will an S2000 give me the same thrills? I don't know, to be honest, because I haven't lived with one. Will it give me the same bills? Probably not. It's certainly not going to cost the same to road tax. It's a 2-litre. Not that you should ever buy a car to make money, but there's a good chance they're appreciating more than a 997 is, because they just made so many of these. But my overriding question is constantly, am I mad? The performance, the exhausts, it's just an unbelievable thing to be behind the wheel of. The way it tucks into corners. I've never had this car on a track, but I'd imagine if I did, that might be the way I'd say to myself, no, it's not for sale. That part of 911 ownership is not in question. I don't want a part of it in some ways, in other ways I do. You know, naturally, if you're married, you'll understand. You can have people in the back of your head going, get rid of it, it's costing you too much money. But this is my thing. And if you like cars, you'll understand. It's our thing, right? I just wanted, after so many people getting involved in the last video, like even new subscribers to the channel, I just felt probably better give people a little update here as to what I'm thinking when it comes to this beautiful little car. So that's kind of where I'm at. Good money for the car. I can stand over the repair work on it. Yes, it needs now some kind of want, not need stuff done to it. There are other things that I want to do, like I've always wanted a Honda S2000. It's not a 911, but because of the work I do where I'm driving 2 press cars a week most of the time, any car I have as my own personal car is never getting driven that often. And I'll find myself struggling I'll have to consciously drive any car I buy as, you know, a bit of weekend fun or whatever. But I suppose having something like this as something you use very occasionally maybe doesn't make sense, because they've got to be driven for starters. There will be bills. There'll always be bills. These are not cheap cars. They were never cheap to buy. I think by inflation standards, this is about a €170,000 car. And if I was to tell you I was buying a brand new one of these, you wouldn't expect the repair bills to be cheap either. In fact, a neighbour of mine has a 2-year-old Targa. He's just selling it for an M5. I think he's mad. But his service, I think recently, was £1,000 just for an oil and filter. So look, they're never going to be cheap cars to do. It might be time to say goodbye to the 911. Am I happy about it? Not especially. It is no doubt. I had an E92 M3 years and years and years ago. I still miss that car. Is it better to have loved and lost than to never have loved before? For watching. Your motor, yeah. That's my motor. They age well, don't they? They do. Literally, as I'm just finishing up filming here, a guy just walking his dog just said, "Is that your motor?" They're timeless. They're beautiful. And like, there's very few cars that normal people can afford that look like this, that age like this. I mean, obviously there's Ferraris and things like that, but they are a different league again in terms of maintenance costs. If I sell this thing, will I miss it? For sure. The driving feel, just looking at it, you know, they're beautiful looking cars, I think. Any iteration really of a 911 is a gorgeous thing. But that's where I'm at. Is it better to kind of cut your losses, get not quite what you paid for, but nearly what you paid for it, knowing you're sending it off to a good owner who's going to mind it? If there was potentially an S2000 in the pipeline, would that make me slightly less mad? I know they're material possessions, and they truly are. There's far more important things going on in the world. But if you do love cars, then I'm sure you'll kind of get where I'm coming from. So that's the latest update. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.